Communication Error.
Welcome to episode 73 of the Communication Error podcast, the community patch notes episode of the Legend of Zelda episode. And everybody is definitely happy with what I was saying last week. And one of those people is here with us today. A good friend of the show, one that is annoying me constantly, daily. UncleGeeb, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. Thank Cheesy as well. Thanks. Listen. I'm not going to be a friend of the show much longer if you keep this stunt up, okay?
What stunt?
I have been the hero, the champion, if you will, because this is a Zelda episode. I am the champion of the communication error community because nobody was holding you accountable about this chip that you said that you would do. And apparently, you haven't even bought it yet. So
yeah, and then
I was just
also
trying to get you to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
and just like fixing the rules a little bit too. You'd like
no, that's not no, because I said the exact exact phrasing that I said was Nintendo would not release a new game this year.
Okay.
And you guys took that to mean like if they revealed it, that counts. And no, that doesn't count. It's when it's released.
Wait. What world are you living in that Nintendo announces a game and then it just doesn't?
Oh, you want to talk about that? You want to talk about that? We're talking about Legend of Zelda right now. How many times did Breath of the Wild get delayed? How many times did Animal Crossing get delayed?
It still is going to be released.
Yeah, but it could have been delayed outside the year.
Okay, well, but you had like 3 or 4 games to choose from.
No, it's been one. It's been one game.
No, but what I'm saying is that they've announced like
but no, it's released, not announced.
You know just as well as anybody that you are just making a big.
Anyway, I have it. All right, I have it in hand.
Leaked.
Finally,
it's been leaked.
The leaks have happened. I'm not doing it tonight though because I didn't prepare myself.
I think you owe it to the people that I'm in your presence of when you do this chip because the reason you have this chip is because of I've been.
No, I ordered this back. Honestly, whenever I tweeted that picture is when I ordered the chip. I have had it for like a month and a half.
Why?
Okay, so we need a fact check.
Yeah, because I was listening to your guys' show on the Nintendo Powercast, and it was brought up. That whole topic was brought up. It was a while ago. I can't remember, but you were like. It was brought up like, oh, that was a fake screenshot, and you didn't deny it.
No, I didn't say it. No, Crawler said that was a fake screenshot, not me.
Right, and you didn't deny it.
But why would I have to deny it?
What do you mean?
It wasn't fake.
But you didn't deny. He said it was fake, and you didn't deny it.
I mean, whatever. It's over now. I have it. Now I have to actually do it.
Everybody in the communication,
but not tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome. UncleGeeb is out for look out for you.
Thank you. If you're listening for the first time, welcome. What we're talking about is how John Ebo bet that he would do the one chip challenge if Nintendo announced new games that he would do the one chip challenge.
If they released a new game this year.
We got to go back. I don't know about that.
Also, at least I agreed to do the chip. And I wasn't a coward like Cheesy, who this is a one-sided chip. This was a one-sided bet.
I've
this was
done
a one-sided bet.
You told me I didn't even have to.
Let me protect you, Cheesy. Now you're talking.
Thank you.
It's a PG show, right? Now you're talking poo-poo on Cheesy right now. Like you're talking. Don't do that to your buddy. He was gonna eat the chip.
All right, we're talking about Legend of Zelda.
Don't say that this was on him because it was a light bet. No, you agreed to it just as well as he did. You take responsibility, take accountability, and eat your darn chip.
Yeah, I mean, at least I did it.
Well, I have it. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I'm glad you bought it.
He's got it now. He's got it.
Did you buy before or after?
He's got it.
Before and after the what?
Your Lego tree, your Deku tree, Zelda Eku.
I'm telling you, I have had it for like a month and a half. I'm probably gonna die because it's expired.
Well, at least you're not going to die because your community comes after you. Okay, me. I know where you live.
We're talking about Legend of Zelda. But before we get into it, leave 5-star reviews on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you can leave 5-star reviews. We did get a new-ish review, kind of, but not really.
New-ish.
It's from the same person. It's from a person that has already reviewed us.
Still counts.
Guys all the same to me.
So it doesn't count as another review. It didn't increase the amount of reviews. Just saying.
Interesting.
Right. So it says I didn't know how to write another review.
Okay.
It's from Triforce Hero. Once again, Johnny Bo's wrong. I disagree. And just trying to make people mad. I mean, I do that. Yeah. In the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, when you defeat Demise, he puts a curse, and every time Link and Zelda are reincarnated, his hatred will be reincarnated with them. So, Johnny, it isn't always Ganon. However, isn't Demise Ganon? Isn't that the same thing?
Lore doesn't, as everybody knows now, Johnny, lore doesn't matter.
It doesn't. See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Sarcasm. I think they're not the same person, like the same person, but I think it's like an entity that like you can become. Like he becomes Demise, but he is Ganon, if that makes any sense. I think that's my understanding of it.
In Majora's Mask, it was the Majors. I don't know. Minish Cap was Vati. Not made by Nintendo, so it doesn't count. Link Between Worlds was Ganon, yeah. But I'd like to say that there was a post-apocalyptic, not with zombies game where you play as Sheila. I don't know who Sheila is. That concept art was very dark, and you could tell would be between a teen and mature ESRB rating. Johnny, study before your episodes. I will never do that. I will never do that.
He doesn't even know what that word is. So, according
now
to
you've
Nintendo
woken
Live,
the kitten. I don't know if you can hear.
No,
I don't know if,
was she meowing?
She's meowing right now.
That's funny. So, according to Nintendo Live,
oh my goodness, you have a whole like baby thing back there.
Yeah, because we over the weekend we decided to foster kittens. And we have one little kitten with us right now.
I love kitties.
She hangs out in my room.
So going back to Johnny being wrong, simply put, while Ganon and Demise are not the same person, it's likely Ganon is the reincarnation of this original Demon King. As the first game in the timeline at the time of the writing, it's reasonable to assume that the incarnations to which Demise refers in Skyward Sword is Ganon/Ganondorf. So
it is
they
Ganon.
are not.
So
they are not
Ganon.
the same. They are not the same person.
So it was kind of the opposite I was saying. Ganon is the reincarnation of Demise.
It's the same thing. Just like not every Link is the same. Not every Zelda is the same. Like,
well, yeah, well, that's true.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's stupid.
I think.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
a lot of people got mad at me this week, but I don't care. It's dumb. It's dumb.
I don't know how much I want to go down this path again, honestly, because
I would love to go down this path.
Jeep, go for it, man. I mean, it's like talking to a brick wall.
I don't know. John,
I don't know how to talk to him.
Here's the thing: if that is your opinion that it is dumb, that's fine. You can have that opinion. I think I disagree, but you sound like, and I'm from Philly. I have these illnesses too. You sound like you're speaking for everybody else. Like
I speak as if it's fact, and that's true.
See, like that's not correct. See, that's not correct.
Welcome to the internet, Jeeb. That's what
tell
people do.
People, don't contribute to it. Learn to be better. That's the way I operate. You can't tell other people that their opinion is now incorrect because
did I say that? No, I said it was dumb. If they take that as an attack on them, that's on them. But it's not.
But then you said it's fact. You said that it was.
It's a joke, Jeeb. It's a joke.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, not all right. That doesn't excuse you to be. It's like saying like, "Oh, I've got this really funny joke," and then you say something that is like so offensive to someone, and you're like,
the joke. No, that is
I'm
misunderstood. See, here's the thing. You're misunderstanding me. The joke is, I don't think what I say is fact. Not like I'm not saying the joke is the lore is dumb. I'm saying the joke is I don't think what I say is fact.
If
What's the
making a short out
punchline?
of this,
Have you
we
ever
need,
written
like,
jokes before? There's a setup and then there's a punchline.
I don't need to write jokes. I'm naturally funny.
Funny looking.
If
Wow.
you guys don't make a short out of this, I don't you're doing it wrong. This is
But I do want to address because that was a lot of the comments that we got this week, and some people, I say that lore is dumb, and then I get called annoying. So how is that fair to me?
it's not.
I'm not. I'm being personally attacked for
It's
my
not that your
opinion.
No. Your opinion wasn't annoying. You were annoying. There's a very big difference there. The words escape me right now, but you were unbelievably annoying in the last episode, in the best way possible. I love you, but you were unbelievably, and like I just wanted to. I was with Cheesy. Every face he was making, all that confusion he had, I was right there with. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, mostly because this was supposed to be a Zelda like love and appreciation episode. I know, right?
I love
never be
Zelda.
able
I
to
just
tell.
don't care. I don't care about the lore. I
I'm
really
gonna do a
don't.
Zelda appreciation episode. I don't care. They suck. Lore
So
is dumb.
young. Here, I'm gonna call this person out because they were rude to me. Young Curry Throde on YouTube said, "I'm sorry, but that dude is annoying." And this Jeep doesn't even. Jeep's too afraid to use his real account. It's called Jeep's burner account.
That's a real joke, John. The whole idea behind my burner account and using it.
These are some of Johnny's worst takes ever. 90% of people don't care.
Yeah. So you should learn a thing or two from me because that's a joke.
Clockworth Clone says Johnny Bo is especially grumpy this week.
Mm.
You were very grumpy. It was the grumpiest.
Hold on, I had some people on because I told you about this. I had some people on Twitter agree with me actually,
Good job. You found
and
them.
it wasn't my mom.
You found your people.
I mean, when he says he agreed, he used me as the one that people should send love
That's a different
to,
one. That's a
because
different
obviously
thing. That's a
I
different
was the one
thing.
that was being annoying.
That
But
was a good
we all
joke. That's a good joke. But Monolith64YT on Twitter says, I also don't care about lore, but I think it might be because we're Nintendo fanboys and their games never have stories. But then they say, I do love Zelda lore, though.
I live for it, man. I live for lore.
Yeah, I just think it heightens. It does. I think the thing that you got carried away with is that you were saying that, or I think you had the impression that lore is more important than gameplay when nobody was saying that. Like, gameplay is what should be the focus, but having that added extra lore is just a bonus. It allows you to kind of be in that world, and that's what video games are, is just escapism. Yeah.
You find connection with the game you're playing because instead of just mindless, and I love Mario Wonder. I'm actually still playing it right now. I'm trying to 100% it. But like,
game's been out for a year. Get good, bro.
I like it. I'm gonna Goose Fraba right now. Goose Fraba. I lack connection with Mario Wonder because while I really do love all the little Easter eggs they throw in and all the little things, like I just heard the what's that music in 64, like the when you're or in Zelda Ocarina of Time when you're running the horse and that music plays. There's like little Easter eggs all over Mario Wonder, little things like with the flowers say things that are cute. That's all great. That's like that. I want to get that out of the way before I start to trash it, so to speak. But there's nothing else to that game that really connects me to it. It's just kind of repetitive, platforming, and that's great. There's certain games that should have that, but a game like Zelda, I mean, this is why I buy hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise, and when the console gets released, I buy the console, I buy the amiibos. There's a reason why. It's because I feel a connection to these characters, and it makes me want to possess them, so to speak, like display them. Like, I don't know, man. The lore gives it reason. The gameplay is fun and is very important, and the lore is not more important. I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying the lore is what keeps me a fan of the franchise. The gameplay is what draws me in.
I mean, Johnny, you were saying all last week, like, oh, you're Googling it, so you don't really care about the lore. I have a friend who is like Googles Pokemon lore just for fun.
Oh my god!
Just because that's how much they love
So,
Pokemon.
I'm glad you
and they
brought
like
up
to be
Pokemon.
Connected.
I'm glad you brought up Pokemon because Pokemon is a game where the lore doesn't line up with the gameplay. Like there are, like Gengar, I think can kill you if you see it, but in the game, like you just have Gengars. And then like Driftbloom apparently steals children, and they never do that in the game. So like, what is the point of that? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I think it's just kind of nice to have the artists have something that is, yeah, I mean, the game is more for kids, but I think if the artists that are creating these Pokemon want to be like, actually, this Pokemon's a ghost type, like, should we make it kind of darker? Because, yeah, if you had a game where they're like kidnapping children, it probably wouldn't be a kid game.
But then it doesn't make sense to have that entry. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that's what annoys me about lore, because it doesn't line up with the gameplay.
Why does it annoy you though? Because here's one thing: you can ignore lore. Like if you don't like lore, just ignore it. Just ignore the story altogether. Just
I
play the
do.
game.
I
That's
do.
the
I
beauty
do
of
ignore it.
story and video games and the lore. But with gameplay, if gameplay sucks, then you can't ignore that. You gotta stop playing the game. So maybe I'm even saying gameplay is more important. But lore, to like hate on lore is stupid. Because just ignore. If you don't care, then just ignore it. Like just
I do ignore it.
Well, good. Let us have our fun. You know?
I think the lore, maybe this is a better way to kind of explain it, is like the commentary on the DVD extras. Like you don't
I never watched
need
that.
to know. I know. You know what, Johnny? I already knew that about you. I've never even asked that question, and I could already tell that you've never watched the DVD commentary. But for me, someone who's like,
who has DVDs anymore?
I got Blu-rays.
I'm just like, for someone who loved movies and acting and writing and all of that, like directing, it's cool to hear their thought process and everything that went into making the movie. And I think it's kind of the same way when you get the lore, is like, these are the decisions that the developers have made to make the world make sense. Maybe not within the gameplay, but when they are building out the game. And this has been said already with like Splatoon, for example. They know that their fans love the lore, but they don't think of the lore first. They obviously want the game to come first and the gameplay to be exciting and fun. And then they go into the lore if it makes sense. Like, they know that their fans are hungry, so they're going to feed them. But first, let's make sure that the game is fun so people still enjoy the world that they want to be in.
Actually, I didn't know that about Splatoon. I was listening to your episode last week, and you were talking about Splatoon lore, and you caught me off guard. I'm like, wait, Splatoon has lore?
Oh, like, it's deep, too.
I had no idea, and that's actually one of my biggest complaints with Nintendo, is that they do have lore. Whether it's fan, emphasized or not, like, there is lore to most of their games, and, like, you wouldn't even know it in some of them. Like, Splatoon, I played 100 hours of that game, but I would have never known that there's lore in that game, because Nintendo doesn't do a good enough job, I think, of really, like, getting their lore more present. Because even in Zelda, like there's so many missed opportunities in that game. Like, as jam-packed as it is, Tears of the Kingdom I'm speaking of, as jam-packed as it is with content, and there is a bunch of, Easter eggs and stuff like that, Jim and I talked about this plenty of times. There's a ton of missed opportunities in the game itself where you go upon something and it's like, oh, this could have been, like, I think one of the examples is from Twilight Princess, like that desert area where Ganon is. I can't remember, Arbiter's Grounds. Like, they could have, like, did something with Arbiter's Grounds in Tears of the Kingdom, but, like, you go to the exact location where Arbiter's Grounds is, and you can find that if you Google search it in Tears of the Kingdom, and there's nothing. There's no Easter egg, there's no chest, there's no weapon, there's nothing. And it's like, how could you not? Like, it was so easy to do that.
Because it's not the same era.
What do you mean?
Like, Breath of Wild is not on the same timeline as Twilight Princess.
But there's plenty of Easter eggs in Tears of the Kingdom that are from other eras of Zelda. But and like I said, there's plenty of examples, but that example, it was such an obvious big one, like a whole area in the desert. is Arbiter's Grounds. I think you even walk upon it and it says Arbiter's Grounds. But I'm sure about that, but I think. But either way, you know it's Arbiter's Grounds. Either whether you Google it or it says in the game. The point is, you get there, there's no Easter eggs. It's like, why? There's other, you can find, and down in the depths, you can find the pants of the hero. Makes no sense whatsoever. Just a little fun little thing. But you go to Arbiter's Grounds and you can't find the sword, the Ganon sword or whatever. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean,
let's get away from lore. All right,
Yeah.
I don't want to get yelled at again because people think I'm wrong. But let's move on. Let's talk about. So, Geeb, I know you weren't a Nintendo fan, or you weren't like, you didn't have a Nintendo console until the Wii U, right?
No. So, my lore, my Nintendo lore. I had a Game Boy Advance way back in the day when it came out, like a lot of kids. And played some games there. Wasn't like passionate about gaming. We had a actually my first console was PS1. But just kind of took a big lull between the years of like 2004 or 5 until 2020 when I got the Switch. So like I wasn't like anti Nintendo necessarily. I think I didn't like the Wii, and the Wii U was not even on my radar. My first Nintendo console in 15 years was the Switch, and then I fell back in love so hard that I picked up a Wii U after that to play Zelda games. This is my Zelda machine back here. You guys can see my Wii U. It's running Minish Cap just on loop forever and ever.
How many hours do you have on Minish Cap right now?
Well, funny story. I don't actually play it on there because why would I? I play it on Switch if I want to. But it does count as hours played as it runs back there, and I run it every single time I do a podcast or I stream. So Drip and I are going to check at the end of the year what the hours are. It's going to be got to be like 2,000 hours. I mean, it's got to be lots of hours.
Are you afraid that it's like going to crash the Wii or the Wii U?
Actually, from what I understand, people say that you need to run your Wii U more often because you don't want it to be stagnant. So actually, I was like, oh, that's convenient. I run it all the time. So great. It's not on every day, but I mean, it's on for probably, 24 hours a week or so. It's on a lot.
So when you play Zelda, like, is there something that it does for you? Why is it one of your favorite series, if not your favorite series?
Oh, it's my favorite series, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because we just had this argument and everything. Like it's the lore, it's the story. So again, you got to understand a little bit more about me and why that's the case. I didn't fall in love with Nintendo games that hard when I was a kid because Game Boy Advance was uncomfortable. It was small, and I wanted to play on the TV. Okay. Then I got a PS. Actually PS1 before that, but that was my older brother's console. Right, the younger brothers get to play that. But I got an Xbox 360. Right, but I was playing sports games. I'm a big sports guy. I played sports games, and I just was that person for a really long time. Sprinkling some Call of Duty, mindless games, no real story, no nothing. 2020 comes around where I'm bored. Right, I didn't have an Xbox or PlayStation 4. Right, and I missed that era. Just wasn't nothing got me passionate. Right, sports games are only just for fun. Nothing brought the passion to me. But I just on a whim, we're like, all right, we're gonna get a Switch. I want to Switch. We're bored. It's a pandemic. Picked up Breath of the Wild, and just my life changed. I was like, it was just that moment. I had that moment that other people had in 2017. I had during quarantine in 2020. Just like, what the heck is this? This is incredible. And it was the entrance of the game, the beginning of the game, when Zelda's talking to you, going out and seeing Hyrule in front of you, and I'm looking like this little tablet this is my world. I can just go to anywhere I want on this little tablet, and I just playing it for hours and hours, and then I know Breath of the Wild doesn't have the best story of Zelda games. It's probably one of the weaker ones. But
that's why I love it so much.
But at the same time, it was good enough. It was my first Zelda game, and that was my first experience with like real lore of any game. I didn't play games like that. Like I told you, I played like sports games and Call of Duty. There's no lore in those. So I mean, it was the introduction of Nintendo, reintroduction of Nintendo, and the introduction of like games are more than just gameplay. Or like lore is a thing, story is a thing, and I just fell in love. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's like it's pretty similar, honestly, for me when it comes to Zelda, because I've played Zelda games in the past, but it was more so of just like I know Zelda is a big series in Nintendo that I like need to play it and just see what it's about, but like not really loving it. And I don't think I really got that until Breath of the Wild. And even when I was playing Breath of the Wild, like I thought it was fun, and I didn't really like get it when I was in the Divine Beasts like the dungeon thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just so lost. I don't understand what I'm doing. I didn't know that you had to hit like the menu screen or the what was it, minus or plus to like move the beast around. And then once I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay. Like something just like clicked. And then from there, I understood why people love Zelda so much. And it's just the discoverability and the satisfaction of figuring out these puzzles. And so, like I said, I've played Zelda games in the past and like I get it, but I didn't love them. And now since Breath of the Wild has come out, I have gone back and played some of these games that I have missed out on. And I get it now. I fully understand why people love this series so much.
I want to add something else to what you said there. So, talking about the Divine Beast and what essentially are dungeons, although not the best dungeons in the series, we'll say.
Right.
But that's another thing, because it goes back to last week's episode with you guys. The atmosphere that the game Breath of the Wild brings you, those dungeons, those Divine Beasts. That's one thing that was one of the first moments in that game where like it's like, you guys ever fall in love with somebody? It was that feeling, like the music and the atmosphere the game brought to me. Like I can see the elephant, whatever his name, Valruda in Breath of the Wild.
That was the first one I did.
Me too. The rumble in the controller with watching the trunk go up and shooting out water and the cut scenes and Mipha and her story was heartbreaking and there was love and everything, man. It was everything. Like I fell in love. Like I'm in love with. We have a YouTube short where I make a fool of myself and I say I'm in love with Zelda. I'm in love with Zelda. I put the ring on her, man. But yeah, no, for real. Like I love Zelda. I love the series. I love her. I love Link. And the music. Get back to that from last week. The other thing that Johnny was just offended me with, honestly, as a musician and as a Zelda lover. Saying that the Guardian music isn't music.
I was trolling.
Okay.
I was trolling.
No, you did a good job.
Say that for everything.
But I was on that one. That one was clearly a troll. You fell for it.
It made me mad.
So, yeah, I mean, anyway, like Zelda does have great music, and you say that you love Zelda. Like, how excited are you for Echoes of Wisdom? And why?
Dude, I've already set my stream. Like I've set YouTube is scheduled. I'm going live half hour before it comes out. We're gonna wait for it, and then I'm gonna play it when it comes out. And I did with Tears of the Kingdom to answer your question by telling you what happened with Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, the last game I bought on release day was like a Call of Duty game in like 2013. Like maybe it was Modern Warfare 3 or something. I don't know. One of those. Black Ops maybe. But it was like it was like 3:00 in the afternoon, right? Mrs. Jeeb and I, my fiance, we went to GameStop and we stood in line to get that collector's edition. We could have just we also double dipped. We bought it digitally, but like we went to the store, to GameStop, midnight release. We stood in line, we got our copy, and we got out. And we came home. We played it for 2 hours. At this point, it was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Went to bed. Woke up next morning. It was Saturday morning. Played the entire day. We probably had 15 hours of gameplay by the end of Saturday evening. And by the end of the weekend, we probably had 30 hours each. That's not going to be exactly the same with this one. I can already tell Miss Jeeb's not quite. She's going to play it. She's going to like it. She's just not that excited. I'm not that excited. I'm not Tears of the Kingdom excited level, but I'm super excited. Like, I'm going to put 30 hours into this game by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, easily. It's crazy like what Zelda does to people. I remember when Tears of the Kingdom came out or was coming out. It was that day. It was like release day. And I was at the grocery store because I knew like my wife and I, we weren't going to be doing anything that weekend but playing Tears of the Kingdom. And so I went to the grocery store and bought some like snacks, and I'm in the chip aisle and someone was like, "Oh, I like your shirt." I was wearing a Zelda shirt and they were like, "Oh, thank you." Or I said, "Thank you." And then I said, are you playing Tears of the Kingdom? And she said, oh yeah, like I've told my boyfriend I'm not doing anything this weekend. And she also was there buying snacks. Like it is a big deal for people. So I can only imagine what the first Zelda game is going to be like for people. I know not everyone is on board with it. I know it's not like the experience that they got with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's a kind of in between. So we'll see how that goes. But I still think this is going to be like a big game, and if not going to like give us a sequel.
I think this is a 20 million copy game. I really do. Not like first week or anything, but I think when the Switch is done being sold, we're going to be at 20 million. I bet you first week is going to be, between the 5 and 10 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
I agree that it will be like 5 million. I think 5 million. Link's Awakening sold like 5 or 6 million. I forget what it is. But people are not going to, they're going to see this game and be like, yeah, that just looks like Link's Awakening, and then just not buy it.
No, but Jeep brings up a good point, is that it was a remake. Like, this is a new game. Maybe it does look like Link's Awakening, but the fact that it is new, that you're playing as Zelda, the new mechanics of just copying everything and kind of doing a 2D Zelda the way that you would like to play it might bring people in.
People didn't do that with Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, they did, but not enough of them because the game sold like crazy. But people went, oh, that looks like Breath of the Wild, but they didn't just not buy it because of that. They still bought it. The game looked just like Breath of the Wild, just with
but Breath of the Wild is a 30 million seller that is a generational game.
True.
So the sequel of that game, which
I
was right with this prediction. Cheesy thought that Tears of the Kingdom was going to sell more than Breath of the Wild, like a lunatic.
I'll admit it.
Yeah, that was a bad take, Cheesy. I'll give you
that. That's fine. I can admit it. That's
okay.
something that I can do. I can admit when I am wrong.
I admit when I'm wrong. I'm just never wrong. So,
but here's the thing, Johnny. People have been waiting a decade to play a 2D Zelda, and the core Zelda fans are 2D fans because they they've been waiting a really long time to play a brand new 2D game.
The last 2D Zelda the last original 2D Zelda was A Link Between Worlds.
Correct.
Came out on 3DS. Now the 3DS did not sell as well as the Nintendo Switch, but it, not horribly, and it only sold 4 million units or 4 point something million units.
Yeah, hot take, the 3DS sucked. So that's probably why. I mean, people like me with adult hands.
Have you played A Link Between Worlds though?
Multiple times, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal game. It's
my third favorite Zelda game.
But Cheesy hasn't played it.
No, I would love to play it.
So
the way to play that game is to emulate it on something else that actually has something you can hold. Because I can't. I sold my 3DS because I
don't talk about that here.
Can't hold it.
But I do want Echoes of Wisdom to sell well, and I think it will sell well. It'll probably be the best-selling maybe not the best-selling Nintendo game this year, because Mario Party will probably be the best-selling Nintendo game this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's there's a lot of things going against it. It's a 2D Zelda, which I don't think as many people want to play anymore. It's at the end of the Switch's life cycle. If the reviews come out and it says it runs like Link's Awakening, like I just loaded up Link's Awakening again on Switch, and that game runs like trash. Like it's horrible. The frame rate is terrible.
You're saying it's unplayable?
It's not unplayable, but it's bad. Like it doesn't feel good to play.
What's worse than trash? If
it doesn't feel good to play. I mean, it's a good game, but it doesn't feel good to play.
You know what, Johnny? I will say that I think it plays better than Plucky Squire on Switch.
Oh my God, Plucky Squire does not play well on Switch.
Yeah,
that is disappointing. Especially the 3D parts.
What's your point about it not playing well? Because I can bring you up one of the highest selling games on the Switch that plays like absolute dog doo doo.
You're talking about Breath of the Wild?
No, Pokemon, dude. Pokemon is
but it's Pokemon. Pokemon
right,
sells.
But And Zelda sells too. Not
No,
as
it
good as
doesn't.
Pokemon.
Oh my God, we went over this last week. Before Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it
We're not in
didn't
that
sell
world.
well.
We're post Breath of the Wild, Tears
Yeah,
of the
but
Kingdom. This is the world we live in
Skyward Sword?
now.
What did Skyward Sword HD sell? What did Link's Awakening? Like, it's
Those
a good
are remakes,
but it
Those are
doesn't
old
matter.
games.
Like, it doesn't matter. People
It
haven't played those games.
It does. Skyward Sword had the motion control thing, and people didn't want anything to do with that. The people who did buy it, kudos. Link's Awakening was a Game Boy game that had a controversial art style.
Which is the same art style
Correct.
as Echoes of Wisdom.
Am I saying that Echoes of Wisdom is going to be a
You
crazy
said it's going to be
seller?
20 million seller. Tears of the Kingdom is a 20 million seller. It didn't sell more than 20 million. Well, it sold like 20 million and 600,000 or something.
It sold 20 million incredibly fast. I'm saying in
And then it died.
Right. I'm saying in a couple years, Echoes of Wisdom get to 20 million after the Switch is no longer being sold, and they're probably going to count Switch 2, the future Switch successor sales as well. I'm talking all. It's gonna go over 20 million. I guarantee.
We're going to get Echoes of Wisdom
not quick.
Deluxe.
No, I think they'll just release it.
We're getting deluxe versions. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Cheesy's face when we get them. But I did want to point this out because Drip could not be here tonight, but he did leave us a message. And he said, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it, but if you're talking about Zelda, I'll put in my 2 cents now. This is most likely going to be the best 2D Zelda ever. This is for sure 2D Zelda's Breath of the Wild moment. Best ever. You can quote me on that. I mean, I agree. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. A lot of people are who have played it illegally have said that it's a very good game. The reviews will probably come out here in the next, probably like tomorrow. Probably by the time this episode goes live, the reviews will be out.
Yeah.
I'm getting the Hyrule Edition Switch. I double dipped on it. I got digital and physical. I love Zelda. I know I'm a grump. I know I'm a grump pants. But the Zelda games themselves.
Why do you love Zelda? Why do you love Zelda?
It's just magic. Well, so you guys are talking about Breath of the Wild, and you know I played Zelda before Breath of the Wild. I love Wind Waker, probably my second favorite Zelda game. Well, I guess third favorite Zelda game. But Breath of the Wild was so magical, like just the feeling that you had when you went out into Hyrule, and it said you could go anywhere, whatever you see, you could go, and that was just such a unique experience. And I didn't, like, back then I didn't really make content, and I was just playing the game to have fun, and it was just special. It was just special.
But like, if we were to dissect what makes it special, like we would start to get down to like the story, the characters.
I don't care about this. No, it's not that. It's not that for me.
What is it?
For me, it's the
wide to go around a 3D space.
It's a wide open. The concept of being able to go wherever, do whatever you want in any order, was so good. And the shrines, like, I loved doing all the shrines. They were very clever puzzles. I had fun finding Korok seeds. Doing the Trial of the Sword was awesome. I know that came later, but I mean, I don't really care about I thought the Divine Beasts were pretty good. I didn't think they were as awful as people make them out to be. They weren't like fully fledged dungeons, but they were still fun. And I did like the concept of being able to move them. But
that's another thing I think you're missing here too, dude, is that in 2Ds or in 3 Breath of the Wild kind of broke the tradition of dungeons. And I think there's a high expectation for a lot of people out there that this Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, is going to have dungeons. And it's going to bring back dungeons like other old 2D games had. Not just how Tears of the Kingdom brought them back, just said they were dungeons, but really just advanced Divine Beasts, right? There's an expectation here. This is dungeons. And people who there's a lot of people who did not buy Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom because they were true, quote unquote, as they put it, true Zelda fans, original Zelda fans, who didn't buy those games because they're like, this breaks all the formulas that I like. I know, I recognize I say that, as Echo Wisdom also breaks a lot of traditions of Zelda, continues those traditions that like Tears of the Kingdom kind of introduced, and Breath of the Wild. But the dungeons are a huge part of that. I think people are going to be back into Zelda because they're going to be like, ooh, dungeons. I won't play.
But I am very curious to see how that works because, it's taken them so long to bring back traditional dungeons, but these dungeons are also puzzles that you can figure out however you want to figure them out. Like, that's what, to me, makes the dungeon fun is like there's one answer and everyone has to figure it out the same way. But now everyone is going to have to figure it out however they want. Like, they have options, which is cool. But I think we're going to learn if dungeons still work with that style.
Yeah, it's going to be you can solve the dungeon more than one way, and that's going to rub some people the wrong way, I think. But doesn't change that they're. And I don't know this. I haven't played the leaked game or anything. I don't know for a fact if they're true dungeons. But I at least believe there's an expectation out there of these to be true dungeons, with an exception that yes, they're going to be able to solve them more than just one way. And actually, that's one thing about Zelda games I did not like. I'm contrast to the traditional Zelda fan in that sense. I didn't like that there was only one particular way because that drove me insane. Like once it wasn't like they got harder; it was that they got mind-meltingly difficult sometimes. It's like for the example I like to use is in Link's Awakening, using that reference. There was like this one dungeon room where like you had to throw a bomb to kill a person on a lower level. There's 2 levels, and
I know which one.
If you throw the bomb from the lower level and kill the thing, it doesn't work. You have to get to the second level, toss it over the railing, and then kill it, which is hard enough to kill the thing. But nowhere did it tell you that that's what you had to do. How are you supposed to know that you have to get to the second level? You've already figured out that it must be a bomb, right? You figured out that much, but how are you supposed to figure out it needs to be the second level? Like, that's the kind of stuff, like one example of that drove me insane about traditional dungeons. And I'm like, why couldn't I just do it from the bottom level, please? Why do I need to go to the top? It takes 15 minutes to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I love that about Tears of the Kingdom with the new abilities with like Ultra Hand and I forget what the other one's called. Ultra Hand is what?
Yeah, Ultra Hand, and then there's the Ascend, right?
Yeah, a Jeep froze.
Ascend and Descend. Oh yeah. But no, I mean, I get what you're saying is that, it was nice to have those different abilities to like figure out these puzzles and see what like people would come up with because people are just creative. Welcome back, Jeeb.
Sorry. I don't know what happened. Internet things.
It's all good. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how creative people get with Echoes of Wisdom the same way that we saw with Tears of the Kingdom.
I just think it's going to be so interesting. I love the concept of just being able to make a bed and you lay down in a bed while in the middle of a boss fight to recoup your health. Like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what other things like that they're going to have because you're going to definitely be able to make echoes of just the most random stuff.
So I have a kind of a talking point, I guess, where Johnny, you were saying that you love Zelda for like the open world and everything that you see you can go to, and that was like something that was really engaging to you. Do you think that Breath of the Wild has changed gaming for the worse?
It makes it worse for me. Like it makes every other game worse for me because I just want it to be like Breath of the Wild.
Well, I think everybody like wants that moment back again. Like I think developers saw how successful Breath of the Wild was, and they were like, we also need to have a game like that. But they just haven't been able to capture the same thing. And like there are some games that are just so long, and there's like
what?
I mean, gaming just has gotten longer.
Like what?
Like that's like Starfield is an example. Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed games. Red Dead Redemption 2?
I think it came out like a year after. That game was pretty much done.
Yeah.
I mean okay, Assassin's Creed games are always bloated. They've always been bloated.
Cyberpunk?
which apparently is a fantastic game.
Now that they've
Now they
fixed
fixed
it,
it.
but when it came out, it was just a mess.
No,
But
I mean I don't think.
and
I
I'm not
think
saying
there needs
I'm not
to
saying
be
it as fact. I'm
there
just
needs to be
saying that
innovation. There needs to be innovation like Breath of the Wild, so we can move forward to make, because a lot of open world games, they feel like checkboxes. Like Spider-Man, I think, is a big checkbox game. Like it's not very innovative at all. It's just here's your mission, you go there, and then there's like a little side missions next to it, and they're all on your map. And I hate that. I don't like when games do that. I want them to be more like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like, all right, you have this one main mission, and find everything else on your own.
how much of Outlaws have you played?
I've played about 10 hours of it.
So are you enjoying that game, or is it kind of the same Ubisoft?
I think it's
Kinda
better.
game that
I think it's
that you
better
don't
than
enjoy.
typical Ubisoft games. Because Ubisoft, like normally you get a map and then there's like a bunch of waypoints on the map that you have to do. But Star Wars Outlaws is you kind of you definitely get missions that you need to go to, but there aren't. I don't think it's as cluttered as a lot of their older games. So they definitely tried to improve it that way. But the game that has been as good as Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is Elden Ring. Elden Ring took the concept of Breath of the Wild and implemented it into their world building, which
Yeah.
Elden Ring is a phenomenal game. And I just won't. There's not many games. Like I don't think Breath of the Wild ruined other games. It just ruined how I look at other games because I just want stuff to be like Breath of the Wild.
I have a couple things to say. I think Breath of the Wild defined what 3D open world games should be. I don't think it ruined any other games. I think that's how good Breath of the Wild was and is still, that it's just now redefined what we should expect as a consumer for 3D open world games. And talking about the magic, how developers are trying to find that magic because they want to copy the formula of Breath of the Wild, I think AAA is failing in a lot of places, and that is one way as well you can add to the list of how it's failing, is it's not finding those types of games. Sony, Concord, do I say more? But I think the indie world, the indie side of gaming right now is killing it. Indies are killing it right now because they don't have the restrictions of and budgets of, and you can think of a budget like a good thing and a bad thing, because when you have too much of a budget, you feel like you need to spend it on nonsense. Concord. But with indie games, there's less budget, less developers, more, and that means that they're spending more care and time into it because it's theirs as well. And I think the magic of those Breath of the Wild moments can still be had. I haven't played this one, but from what I understand, it has that type of moment. Animal Well has a moment.
I was just thinking that too.
I can't wait to play it. I have yet to play it, but from what I'm gathering from people who've played it, it's not exactly Breath of the Wild, but it has that type of moment in it where it's ooh, this game is it's amazing. I love it. And people, I just think people crap on indie games because they're not the big budget titles that look amazing and run great. And that's okay. Once you get over that that they're not AAA games, once you play them, you fall in love. Like I don't know, man. Like I think indie worlds are killing it, or indie worlds.
Yeah, indie games. That's where, if you're looking for
Yeah.
true innovation, like indies are where you need to look. You know, Balatro is a roguelike poker game.
I knew you'd say Balatro.
And Vampire Survivors is just like, you know, perfection.
Communication error. The community is just checking off their boxes on their bingo cards right now.
Get
No,
everyone-
Jeeb, I'm
Take your shots.
I'm glad that you did bring up indie games because that's not what I was talking about. In my head, I was talking about AAA gaming, but I'm glad that you clarified that. Also, Animal Well is a fantastic game, and it is one of those that like has that, I guess, charm of Zelda where it's just discovery. Like they don't tell you what to do at all. It's just you figure it out. And it does have a lot of like Metroid to it as well, because the first Metroid didn't tell you what to do. You just had to figure it out. But once you figure out these puzzles, or the fact that they are puzzles is so cool, because there's a lot of stuff that you could just pass and just be like, oh, that's cool background dressing, but it's actually part of the game. And when you find that out, it's a lot of like, oh, aha, those kind of moments. And I think that is what makes gaming special.
Yeah.
I think so.
Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
Going back to going back to Zelda, and what makes it special is how unique the mechanics are from game to game. Like each Zelda game plays completely different from the last. Well, unless you're talking sequels, even Tears of the Kingdom plays different than Breath of the Wild with all the mechanics.
It's familiar, but yeah, it does. It does play differently.
Nintendo tries to innovate with each entry. They, for better or worse, like Skyward Sword with the motion controls, I think it falls flat with that. But then you have the sea with Wind Waker, and changing into a wolf with Twilight Princess, and the time travel mechanic with Ocarina of Time, and the 3-day cycle with Majora's Mask. Like every Zelda game is different, and that's what makes it special. And Echoes of Wisdom looks like it's going to continue that with the Echo system. Like I'm glad they have Sword Fighter in there, but I think it would have been okay if we had the staff and then, a couple other mechanics that we haven't seen as opposed to just Sword Fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeeb, you were going to say something?
Nope, don't remember.
Okay. But no, I'm with you, Johnny. Like, I think the fact that, they are trying something different is really cool. And from what we've heard from N64 Josh and Crawler on Nintendo Powercast is that, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to like spam echoes. You're going to have like a certain amount that you can put out at a time. So that also is making you make choices. And maybe that's, I've heard people say like, how do the boss fights work? Like, what do you have to do? And I'm curious to see how people are going to approach the boss fights. Like, I think all three of us are going to have different answers for how we defeated them. But it will be cool to see, like, maybe I used a chair, or Jeeb used an enemy, and Johnny just went to sleep.
That's what I'm doing. I'm going to send out my minions and just go to sleep.
Yeah. So, yeah, the fact that they're always trying something new, I think just Nintendo in general is always trying to do new things is what is keeping the innovation alive, versus like some of these other companies that I feel are just trying to catch up or trying to recapture what made that game so great in the first place. And I'm not saying that all games are like that. There's definitely a lot of heart and hard work that goes into making a game. But then there are probably some projects that are just like, we want a clone of this game. And yeah, they do have innovation of it, but like, is it original in their take, or is it just a ripoff? Yeah, but I mean, Astrobot is just Mario Galaxy. I think it is. That's so tough because I totally know what you're saying. I think Astrobot is innovative for Sony and going in a different direction than they have before, and maybe going in a direction that they will continue to go forward with. But it seems like there was love and care that was put into that game, and with all the different properties that they threw in it. And it was like a celebration of Sony. I haven't played it, but that's what I have gathered from other people talking about it.
I feel the same way, Cheesy. I haven't played it, but when I see people talking to Astrobot, you can just feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is what it is. And I platinumed it. I've only done that 3 times. So I did enjoy it. But yeah, it's a Mario Galaxy game that has Sony references. Like, which it's still fun, but I just don't think it's as innovative as it could have been. Like it felt like after playing Odyssey with the open zones and going to Astrobot with the linear levels, it felt like taking a step back. And that's why, like, for the next 3D Mario, I really want it to be open world.
Well, okay, so do you think, because I've thought about this before, do you think that it was Odyssey or do you think that it was 3D World that hindered Wonder? Because 3D World is a pretty great game that is what? It's like 2D, 0.5. It's not really 3D until you get to like Bowser's Fury, but just 3D World on its own is still a linear 2D game. But like Mario Bros. Wonder is just that 2D. It doesn't bend the dimensions going into like 2D 0.5.
I don't understand the question. So I was talking about Odyssey.
Yeah. But so do you think the reason why you didn't like Wonder as much is because of Odyssey or 3D World?
I mean, I liked Wonder. It's just really short. And I do like 2D Mario, but it does feel like it's a 2D Mario. It's nothing mind blowing. Yeah, the Wonder Seeds were pretty cool, but it's not that feeling that you get when you play a 3D Mario.
I feel like I should have input on this because I'm one of the weirdos out there. If you think I'm weird, that I've tried enough 3D Mario games. My favorite one is 3D World, and I played Odyssey, didn't beat it because it just didn't hold my attention. I didn't like it that much, and I don't crap on it, but I just don't like it that much. I much prefer. I've come to realize I much prefer 2D Mario games because for me, again, story is like my first thing I think of, and it's like, well, neither game has a real story, so it's like, okay, we'll just wipe those both off the table there. What's next? Gameplay. 3D Mario. I don't know, man. Much rather just go break into Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom than play 3D to play Mario Odyssey. In terms of gameplay, I think gameplay is more satisfying, more fun for me than the 3D platforming in Mario Odyssey. So then, okay, it doesn't have the story for me. Odyssey doesn't have the gameplay for me, and then what's left is like just kind of creativity, overall atmosphere. And I think Wonder actually is more fun to me. I think Wonder has better atmosphere to me and is more creative to me than Odyssey. And 3D World is more fun than Odyssey because I can play with my friends, and the multiplayer aspect is awesome. I like it a lot. So it just Mario Odyssey just kind of falls down and down. It didn't hit any of my my wants and needs of a Mario game. So Wonder is my favorite 2D, and if you want to say 3D World's a 3D, it's my favorite 3D. But I just kind of gravitate toward the 2D stuff.
What's I know the reasons for why you said you like 3D and Wonder. What are the reasons that you didn't like Odyssey?
I can't really. It's not I didn't like it. It just doesn't hold my attention for long enough because the game, like I said, the gameplay is not that fun to me. I guess I just don't like 3D platformers, which is fine. Just not a big fan of 3D platformers. It's just pretty much that. I think it's more of the 3D platformer aspect because I don't know it seems like Breath of the Wild but less good. Like it's not fully open. It's only open zone. It's got platforming, which is not my favorite. Zelda has more combat. It has combat, period. I don't know. It's almost, I think what my issue is I'm comparing it to Breath of the Wild too much. And that's
interesting.
I think because I got them both at the same time, like around the same time. Like, not actually that's not true, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm trying to say. But
I don't know. I think
the reason I don't play it that much is because I'm not a big 3D platformer.
I think Breath of the Wild and Odyssey are they're apples and oranges, right?
Yeah.
Odyssey is a platformer, and
I guess I'm saying I don't like oranges. You know what I mean? Like I just don't like oranges.
So here's my thing.
Why don't you like it? I don't know. Why don't you like a food you don't like?
Here's my thing. I wish Nintendo would just stop developing all the other IP and just do 3D Mario one year, then you have a 3D Zelda the next year, the 2D Mario the year after that, then a 2D Zelda, and then maybe a 3D Mario again. Like just Zelda and Mario, that's all I need. That's all I need.
I think I get what you're saying, but I think people just need a break, and it's nice to break
An
that
8-year
up.
long break. That's a long break.
Let's see what they've got, man.
I mean, it's probably been done for like 7.5 years.
Probably. But like Nintendo puts out so many Mario games. And I'm not just talking like
No, you're falling into the trap that every anti-Nintendo person is. Mario platformer is not the same as a Mario RPG game. It's not the same as a Mario sports title. They are not the same games. They have Mario in the title. That's it. Nothing else is the same.
There's plenty of platformers out there. There's plenty of platformers out there. They can
but they're not as good as Mario. They're not.
Opinion. Some people would beg to differ.
I can't think of one.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You don't get to talk.
You're saying they're Mario games, and yes, they have Mario in the title, but they're all different.
They gave you that Mario hit.
Yes.
It's like drugs.
And we have all right. They are releasing
Mario hit from those other ones.
They are releasing too many Mario RPGs. They are releasing way too many Mario RPGs.
I was saying, John.
We had Super Mario RPG, then we had Paper Mario, and now we're getting Brothership. 3 Mario RPGs, and we can't get one 3D Mario in or we can't get 2 3D Marios in the lifespan, but we get 3 Mario RPGs in a year.
All I'm saying is that we are getting a lot of Mario, whether it is Mario or it is just a property under the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, I'm sure people get tired of Mario. Like, I'm fine with it. But
I get tired of no Mario platformers.
I'm tired of you interrupting me all the time. I'm saying, like, I'm sure the same way that people got tired of the MCU. Like, yeah, they're still putting out different MCU
then that's Nintendo's fault.
For what? What do you mean?
For releasing too many Mario things.
Yeah, but then you don't want them to release other IPs.
I don't want them to. No, I want the Mario platformers.
The team, Johnny, the team of making Odyssey is not the team who's making RPG.
But what are they doing? It's been 7 years.
They're doing. They're making the game for the Switch too. What do you mean? What are they doing? That's what they're doing.
This is the longest time between Mario games ever. And 3D platformers,
and that's a fact. And what are you complaining about? I mean, you're complaining about not. You want? Do you
know how long 7 years? What were you doing 7 years ago? I bet your life was completely different.
What was I doing 4 years ago before COVID? I mean, I think a lot of us can say our lives have changed just in that much time.
Exactly. Like 7 years is a long time.
There's a lot of games to play and buy, though. I mean, just go play different.
Yeah, but they're not as good. They're just not as good. I do buy games, and I play them for a bit, and they're just not as good.
So tell those indie people to their faces that their games aren't as good as Mario, and I don't want to buy them. I don't want to play them.
I mean, I buy them. At least I buy them. I'm supporting them. I do buy them.
I've been waiting to bring this comparison in. I just want to put you in your coffin, okay? So you and I share something. Our love of Philadelphia sports, okay?
Yes.
Do you just watch the game? You completely blind to who's hitting, who's pitching, who owns the team, who's the general manager? You just watch the game to see who scores more runs, or do you really get invested in your team? Which one is it?
I don't understand.
Do you the players? You have
I don't care. I don't care who's playing.
You don't care about Bryce Harper?
I mean, I like Bryce Harper because he's on the team now.
You don't care about Trey Turner? You don't care about Schwarber?
I do care about them because they're on the team now, but like
JT?
I didn't care about them before they were like when Harper was on the Nationals. No, I didn't care about Harper.
We're not. What are you talking about? That's not what
because you're asking me if I care about the Phillies in general or if I care about certain players. I care about the Phillies in general. I don't care who's on there. Like
so you don't care who's on the team
as long as they're on the Phillies.
You don't care who's on the team. You don't have any connection to any players.
No.
I thought you would say different. That actually answers my question. You are a cold, heartless person who cares nothing
How?
about
How?
you play a video game, you consume it like it's a cheeseburger, and then you poop it out later.
I don't understand. I don't
Watch baseball
How
for
does
the
that make
pleasure
me-
of winning, and when they lose, you go, ugh. And if they win, you go, yay.
Yeah,
You don't care about
exactly.
Bryce
That's what
Harper.
everybody
You don't care
does.
about Rojas making a good catch. You don't care about Schwarber hitting up.
I mean, I care about them making a catch to help them win. Like, yeah, of course. Like, I don't care though. Like, if Schwarber moved back to the Cubs or something, and he breaks his own leadoff home run record, I don't care because he's on the Cubs. I don't understand this analogy. It doesn't make any sense to me.
You really don't care. You don't care.
I care about the Phillies. I care about the Eagles. I don't care about who's on the Phillies or who's on the Eagles.
I've gotten my clarification.
Same. All right, here. We'll go back to video games. I care about Nintendo. I don't care who develops the Nintendo games.
Yeah.
As long as they're developed and they're good. That's all I care about. Like, I don't care that Grezzo is the one that made Echoes of Wisdom. As long as it's a good game and it's made by Nintendo, like, that's what I care about.
Like, okay, so the food analogy. You go to a restaurant and you go, I mean, if you were to go to, I don't know what you do, but if you were to go to a fancy restaurant, it's more than just a meal. That's what you're going there for the experience. You know, you wouldn't thank the chef for a delicious meal because of how wonderful it was. You wouldn't want to know.
I've never done that in my entire life.
I haven't either. I'm not like, I don't know why. I guess my point is, I
don't care who makes my food as long as it's good and doesn't make me sick.
You play games like it's a cheeseburger. You eat it,
yeah,
because you're hungry. And then you dispose of it, and then you're like, now I want more cheeseburger because I'm hungry again. Yes. And some of us actually like taste it. Some of us.
All right, here you go.
Some of us go, let's try different restaurants.
Here's how. I'm gonna bring this back.
You're like, I only like McDonald's. I will only order a double cheeseburger. I will eat that. I will use the bathroom,
your argument
and then
doesn't.
I will eat it again later. And no other restaurant. I don't want your cheeseburger. I don't want your cheeseburger. It ain't better than a McDonald's cheeseburger. I will only eat that.
That is not. No.
That's exactly
so here's the analogy that. The correct analogy is I ate a cheeseburger 7 years ago. And now I want that cheeseburger, that kind of cheeseburger again. 7 years.
The restaurant. They told you to go home and wait until they're done renovating the restaurant. You're out on their stoop going, I want cheeseburger. I want cheeseburger. And they're like, we're building the restaurant.
Look, I understand.
The wood. Don't you see the floor being
understand. I know people are not going to like me for this, but I'm not wrong.
Not done yet. Go home, Johnny.
It doesn't. All right. So I understand that games take time to make. I understand that. I get it. I'm not that much of a lunatic. I understand that. But a 3D platformer should not take 7+ years to make from a major publishing company with a huge budget and a ton of developers. Like, imagine 3D Mario comes out 7 years ago. Concord was just starting to get made. And the same dev cycle for Concord is the dev cycle for 3D Mario. If the 3D Mario comes out, it flops as hard as Concord. What are you gonna say then?
Come on, you think it's gonna flop?
No, but you're making these false arguments because I can't believe nobody is like, how can you get a game, really enjoy the game? Like, Odyssey is one of my favorite Mario games and one of my favorite games, and you think it's crazy, insane for me to want another one 8 years later.
To be clear, I think you're valid. I do think you're valid in this particular point that it's taking too long. I agree, but who am I to say that how long it takes? We also, Drip and I have been covering this I've been covering the Switch or the Nintendo's timeline for our podcast is 3-4 years old. We've been doing this a while, and we've been covering everything that happens, and it's like the Switch OLED was supposed to be the Switch Pro, but never happened. Got delayed. COVID delayed things. Delays. The Switch was not supposed to be 8 years old to begin with, and that's
They
so to
said
me.
10 years.
It's not supposed. It was not supposed to take this. Like, we were already supposed to have a new console, but we didn't because of delays that happened years ago at this point. And there's nothing we can do about it. The fact that we don't have a Mario right now makes sense because they're not going to release the Mario at the end of the console's life cycle, which is right now. It's probably ready, but they're just going to wait until it makes sense to release it. It's not like it's baking right now.
Yeah, but it's still annoying. It's still frustrating.
As someone who covers the Switch, you should know that it's not because they're just they hate us or what do you think they're doing? They're just we're waiting for the Switch 2 to come out, but the reason the Switch 2 is not right now is because of delays.
It's annoying to have to
annoying. I agree.
Here's your filler games. Here's your filler games. For 3 years we've been we got Tears of the Kingdom last year, but other than that,
we got Pikmin 4 last year.
That's a tiny game, niche game.
It was a great game, though.
It's a good game, but it's not. It's not Mario. You don't understand. You're not listening.
No, you don't understand. You're not listening.
No, you're not
Johnny,
listening. Right? So you think it's okay?
I need to know.
You think it's okay that a Mario Kart, a new Mario Kart, has not released?
What are you
passionate about? Mario and Zelda.
Why?
Because they're fun, and I just want to play them all the time.
What makes them fun for you?
They're special. They make me feel like a kid again.
Okay. Do you find that there's things that you like about the games that developers are doing to make them feel like you're a kid again?
I mean, they're fine, but they're not Mario or Zelda. They're not.
Okay, but this is the problem I think I have, and I don't understand, is when you are creating something and something that of art, it takes time.
I understand that.
Of work.
I'm not a dum-dum. All right. I understand that these things take time, but you're telling me they weren't going to release an original Mario Kart. We didn't get an original Mario Kart on the Switch.
They didn't. But this is the business side of Nintendo. You're skipping the business side.
Yes,
of Nintendo.
And we got to stop. We have to hold them accountable.
Oh, you want to talk about accountability right now?
You were just talking about their games flopping.
Mr. Chip Waiter wants to talk about accountability.
Well, all right, I'll eat the chip when they release a 3D Mario, which won't be for another 4 years.
And then I'll shove a sock in my mouth after you eat the chip right now.
I think, going back to Zelda, I think Zelda is in a good spot right now. Obviously, that's really dumb to say, but we have Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild blew up during the Switch era. They were releasing a Zelda game every year for the Switch, whether it was a remake or it was a spin-off, but we got a Zelda game every year. There's a movie coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced something for Nintendo World. I think there's actually been rumors of areas that are going to be for Nintendo World. Is it World or Land? I always forget. What game? Nintendo Land?
Nintendo World.
Yeah,
right, because they couldn't say Nintendo Land.
Yeah, that was a DS game.
That was a Wii U game.
Yes. Well, 3D. I'm thinking of 3D Land. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure. So, I understand that you are wanting more, and I think honestly that does just show how much you love Zelda, and is what this episode is about. It's just appreciation for it. But I do think that there is more to things to appreciate about Zelda than just the game coming out and playing it. There's a reason for why it is so good. What are you giving me that look for?
So I don't know. It's a weird thing to say.
Why is that a weird thing to say?
Because I don't know. It's of course, why we don't have the game yet. That's the only thing we could do right now is be excited for the game to come out.
No, but what I'm saying is that there's reasons to be excited about Zelda other than the game itself. There's a reason for why it continues to be so good is because of the developers, because of the story, because of the music, because of the mechanics, the innovation, the beauty of it.
The games who try to emulate that feeling, like the indies who are creating game. Tunic, like I just boot up Tunic recently. I played Tunic for a minute and then put it down, and I picked it up back up recently. It's not Zelda, but it is. It hits a lot of points that Zelda hits, and I like it. And that got me a little fix. Also, playing old Zelda games. I just streamed a little bit of Link Between Worlds recently, and that was fun. And it was reliving those experiences with that game. It's hitting that itch that I feel waiting for the next game. And I want to actually validate you, Johnny. For all the this stuff I've given you today. I want to validate your feelings that, like, yes, man, it's been a really long time, and you're a way bigger Mario guy than I am, so I don't care nearly as much as you do. The fact that you care that much is great, and yes, it's been way too long. You deserve a new 3D Mario game. But there are reasons why, especially covering Nintendo. You should know there are reasons why it's taking.
I know why, but I don't have to agree with them.
It's not going to flop. Yeah, I don't agree with it either. I accept it because it's what it is. It is what it is. Like, I hate saying that, but like in this case, it is what it is. Like, there are reasons why Nintendo's taking so long to put it out, and that is what it is. There are other experiences you can experience with Mario. There's the old games. There's the games that are inspired by it. Have you tried? What is that game that's on my? It's Polygon. There's plenty of games, even recently, that have come out that like are like an ode to Mario. 3D Mario 60. It looks like Mario 64. There are ways. Like, I feel like you're just like pounding the desk.
They're not. It's not.
I want Mario. And
it's
like,
not Mario. Like it's not. Like, you play other games,
Zelda, but it hits that itch.
But it doesn't for me. Not for me. Like I've played Plucky Squire. That's essentially.
I'm sorry. That must suck to be you, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, I like Zelda and Mario. And I honestly like Pokemon's up there too. And I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't get a Pokemon game last year, because that is like, yeah, no, I know,
dude.
But
that game
being able to play, like I played over 100 hours of Scarlet and Violet. I think it's a fantastic game. Legends Arceus, fantastic game.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. I put in 100 hours in that game.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Let's Go, great games. PDSP, not that great, but at least it's Pokemon. And Pokemon had DLC. Sword and Shield. I put a lot of time into Sword and Shield. Like there's so many Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch. Like mainline actual Pokemon games. And I know people don't like they don't like how it runs or looks, but like whatever. I don't care. They are fun to play, and now we have to wait probably we have another year. But at least we're getting another one in a year.
That's really fascinating that you would want a Zelda or a Mario game that doesn't play well, but the fact that it is out
doesn't run well. Run well. I didn't say play well. Run well. Pokemon doesn't run well. It plays well.
Okay. I mean, I can agree with that, but it's just it's fascinating to me that like that if it's your favorite series like Zelda and Mario, you wouldn't also want it to run well. You just want it to come out.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom don't run well.
Dude, all right.
They don't.
I don't know what we can say to you anymore, because it's not that bad. You're talking about what, the Lost Woods?
It runs sub 30 most of the time.
That's all you're talking about?
Tears of the Kingdom runs sub 30 most of the time.
You're taking, like, to say that a Link Between Worlds, I'm sorry, Link, what's like the remake? We just
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening.
Yes, Link's Awakening remake. To say that doesn't run well, and in the same way, say Breath of the Wild doesn't run well. Well, actually, Link's Awakening runs at 60 frames per second most of the time, like 75% of the time.
I don't think it does. I think it's 30.
It does.
I don't think it's even 60.
I don't have math. I'll ask my buddy Alex, who has the tool that can check it out. Like, that game runs at 60 frames per second most of the time. Forget the number. It's most of the time. It's more than 50%. And less than 50%.
Then I want games
less
that
than 50%
run like
of the
that.
time, it runs slightly less than 60, and it's stark. especially when you're going through from area to area, when you're going from popping over from area to area, it is stark. But then it kicks right back into 60.
Hey,
it's just like
look, Zelda's not the problem,
Breath of the
right?
Wild is a different beast. It's running at 30 again most of the time, but there are more times where in big areas like the forest, it's sub 30 frequent. Whereas Link's Awakening, it's 60 most of the time. It's just little tiny parts of the game, little tiny parts where it goes below 60. Like Breath of the Wild, it is different. They're different. Very. You're like saying they're the same thing. Like both games are equally bad.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they don't run well. I'm not saying they're bad.
Link's Awakening runs well. I don't
know.
understand
No,
why
it does not. I just played it. I just played it, and it does not run well. And I know, like,
Also,
I'm gonna be another. I'm gonna get more comments about being annoying this episode. I get it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not steady at 60 100% of the time. True. It's not a computer. It's an Android tablet.
That is like one of the main complaints about that game is that it does not run well. Okay.
It has stutters.
All right. So Zelda is not the problem. I've never complained about Zelda games taking too long to release. Because
that's true.
They've had Zelda games, like maybe the gap between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom was a bit long because it's the same engine. Like, why is it taking 5 years? But it's because of all the new mechanics. But yeah, I mean, we had Link's Awakening, we had Skyward Sword, Age of Calamity. Even though I'm not a huge fan of those games, talk about games that don't run well. Now we have
That is a game that doesn't run well. The fact
now we have Echoes of Wisdom. It's not Zelda that's the problem. It's Mario. Your flagship, your mascot. The thing that put you on the map. And you're using them for stupid spin-off games.
I mean, they also just put out a movie and a theme park and...
Yes, but not a 3D platforming experience. That is what everybody wants.
Right. They haven't done it and it's taken too long. So has the Switch 2 release. It's taken
Yes.
It was delayed to early this year and it still hasn't come out. It's been delayed past if it was going to come out early this year in 2024, that was already a delay from the beginning. But it's been delayed past that. Like we and none of this is confirmed. We don't know for a fact it's been delayed this many times, but covering it as long as we have and seeing the progression of how things have worked out, that is what's been happening. And it is what it is. And it's going to make it that much sweeter when it does finally hit and you play it on the Switch too. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
I will not be a grump anymore. When they have the reveal.
Lies.
Wait, hold on. When they have the reveal trailer and they show a 3D Mario, they show a new Mario Kart, they show Breath of the Wild running at 60 FPS, they show... That's about it. That's all I care about. A new Pokemon game. A 1-2 Switch.
Cheesy, how do you put up with this guy?
I don't know. It gets harder and harder. But
yeah, I think the listeners are not too happy with me. But whatever. I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong. I really don't think I'm wrong. I think people are too afraid to say it. Because...
Say what? I'm not afraid of nothing. What am I afraid to say?
To hold Nintendo accountable for taking way too freaking long for the Switch 2, for a new Mario, for a new Mario Kart, and all of the other IP that they just don't care about anymore. There's no Star Fox on the Switch. There's no Donkey Kong on the Switch. Like, how, like, why are people just like, oh, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I said it is what it is to one particular thing about it being delayed. I'm not saying all that other stuff is what it is. And how do you expect us to hold them accountable, Mr. I bought every single Nintendo Switch console I possibly could buy.
I haven't bought all of them. All right.
I double dip on every game, but you want to hold them accountable? Stop. The way you hold them accountable is you don't support them.
But listen, one copy won't be the same.
Let's be honest here. You're not that angry about this. Nobody's this. No, you're fake angry about it.
I'm so angry about it.
You're not angry about... I'm looking at the camera now. You're not angry.
I
You're
am
just
very
being a
angry about
grumpy
no
cat.
3D Mario.
You're the grumpy cat. Stop it. You're wearing the fanatic on your head. Lighten up. It's not that serious.
It is that
Nintendo's
serious.
Nintendo is. You listen to my show. I criticize them all the freaking time. But how are you supposed to hold them accountable for delays that some of it was COVID related that they have no control over? Like,
I feel like they have though. I feel like they do. I think that's a lie that everybody's telling themselves.
But you just don't know, man.
How are we supposed to know, Cheesy? Like they could be lying, they could not be lying. Listen, at the end of the day, Nintendo's a greedy, evil corporation who does everything they can to help their bottom dollar. Period. They don't give one hoot about Johnny wanting another 3D Mario, a grown-ass man who wants a 3D Mario because he wants to feel like a not grown-ass man again. Okay? Relax, Johnny.
I will maybe one day stop buying 2 copies of each thing, all right? I'll go down to 1 copy, and that's really going to hurt their bottom line.
I think I over budgeted my curse words. I'm sorry. I just did too.
No, you're fine. Johnny, I think what we're trying to say is we appreciate the passion that you bring for these series. I think it's just like it doesn't have. I don't know. Like I can't speak.
That's what I feel too.
Speak for you. Like I can speak for myself, and I can be patient. I've been patient pretty much my whole life. It's always paid off.
I think 8 years is pretty patient. 8 years is
patient, but you also are not in charge of Nintendo.
It's a full middle school experience.
We are not in charge, but there are things that we can control in life, and there are things that we can't control in life. This is one of those things that you can't control.
I can control what I say. And I'm going to use that to ask for new games.
Now, again, I didn't play Breath of the Wild in 2017. I played in 2020, so my wait to Tears of the Kingdom was a lot shorter than most. And Drip was on board with me at this time as well, because he was one of those people and has to wait a long time for Tears of the Kingdom. What we told ourselves was, especially when they delayed it from 2023 to 2024, we weren't like, oh my freaking God, it's another delay. We were like, this is going to be worth it, because I trust Nintendo. We trusted Nintendo that they delayed it an extra year because they wanted to get it right. And that's what separates Nintendo from everybody else, is that they get it right. And they're not going to put out something that isn't right. So the reason that Mario's not out is for a lot of reasons, but I think the biggest reason it's not out is because they're not going to put it out until it is right. Whether that means the game, the system, or the time, or all of the above. It's not the right time to release the Mario 3D game. And it's going to be worth your while. And if it isn't worth your while when it comes out, that's when you start complaining. It's not how they're playing right now. It's just not.
I know what they're waiting for the new
Wonder
system.
just came out last year, and that's a very similar. It's Mario and it's a platformer, not the 3D portion, but it's like 67% of Mario.
All right. So
you're looking for.
Yeah, Mario Wonder. Speaking of a wait, 12 years between 2D Marios. 12 years between New Super Mario Bros. U and Mario Wonder. 12 years.
But there was 3D World.
That doesn't count. That's a 3D Mario.
Bowser's Fury.
We're talking 2D Mario. 2D Mario.
Okay, but like you still got other things within that time.
And it's not, and like 3D, Mario 3D World is not like a Mario Sports comparison. We're not talking about Mario Sports. It's a platformer in a 2D or 3D, depending on the way you look at it.
Well, even 3D World. All right, even 3D World, 10 years, because that came out in 2013. So 10 years between 3D World, a 2.5D to a 2D Mario. So are we going to have to wait another 10 plus years to get a 2D Mario?
Do you understand that the Wii U happened in that time and that really affected things like big time? The Wii U
I get it.
There's a reason.
Look, I don't want to belabor the point, but they make us wait too long for these things. They just do. Like a 2D Mario, I know there was a lot of people that didn't like New Super Mario Bros. U, but it sold like 13 million copies on the Switch. And I know we've gotten Mario platformers, like re-releases, but I've already played those. I played them on the Wii U. It's just too long for a 2D another like a 2D Mario that takes like 10 hours to beat. 12 years.
For you.
It's just like I just want
Some
platformers.
People savor their games. We'll go back to the food analogy. I savor my game. I'm taking my time with it. I'm not even 100% it yet. Taking my time with it.
Well, we could put it on how long to beat, and it's probably like 10. The average is like 10 hours.
I mean, maybe, but like from like gamers' perspective, I'm not like a hardcore 3D platformer or a platformer at all. So like for me, it probably took me 15 hours to beat the game. Maybe somebody who's not experienced as me took them 20, 25 hours. Some people never beat the game.
They're like the only games I beat. I beat Zelda games and Mario games.
You binge your game in a weekend, and then you go
because I have to wait. Because I have to wait so long to get one. So yeah,
going back to the cheeseburger analogy, you're just scarfing it down, man.
Yeah, because I have to wait so long. Like if I had to wait 10 years for a cheeseburger,
but there's other foods. There's
but
other
if
foods. You don't have to starve yourself.
One certain kind of food, why would I not just want? Like I like that.
That's
food.
on you, man.
This turned into an intervention. This is not a Zelda appreciation.
I know.
This is
like
Johnny's intervention.
I'm not changing my ways. I'm not changing my thoughts because I don't think I'm wrong. I think that we're waiting way too long in between Mario games. Zelda's fine because we get one like every year. Like, until we have to wait like 8 more years for the next 3D Zelda game.
Okay, I don't think that you are wrong that we are waiting too long for games. Sure. However, there are other things to be enjoying.
Here's the thing:
time.
I don't want to. Okay,
I know.
People
And
that's people play Call of Duty every year.
Is a
people play Madden. So why can't I be upset about having to wait?
Johnny,
so
I'm going to be
long?
honest, man. I think you got lost in the sauce when it came to content creation.
I don't even know what that means.
It means that you've put in everything when it comes into content creation instead of just enjoying the game for what it is.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy those games.
You want to go back to when you were a kid. There was no social media or anything.
But I played Mario and Zelda when I was a kid. That argument makes no sense.
All right.
Like yeah, of course I make content on these things.
Yeah.
Because I like to make content. I like making content more than I like playing some of these games for sure. But I do like Zelda and Mario and Pokemon.
Cheesy or I don't want to speak for Cheesy, but I don't believe Cheesy or I are saying you can't feel the way you're feeling. What we're saying is there are ways to feel less bad about it, and like there are remedies.
But I'm not like stewing every day. Like I get up in the morning, like I look at my phone. Oh, there's not a 3D Mario.
That's the way you come across, though. You're like that's what you feel
because it's for. Oh my god. It's for the content.
It's for the memes. It's for the lulz.
Like,
just like I feel like 90%
you think I'm angry all the time about.
You're not real. You're not real. There's no way you're real.
You think I'm angry all the. That's what people do. They think I'm angry all the time because I wake up and I don't see a Mario announced. No, that's for like. It's what we're talking about. It's not about.
No, what we're talking about is
it's not something day to day. It's not something day to day that I think about. It's when we're having discussions like this, yeah, of course I'm going to be passionate about it, but I don't write in my journal every day like, oh, another 3D Mario wasn't announced again today, or Zelda is taking too long to make, or I don't want another Mario RPG. Like, it's not something I care about day to day. It's just something to talk about. If you get upset about it, that's on you.
So you're saying it takes too long, right?
Yes.
Are you comparing it to something else? What's your comparison? What makes this relative?
I did research. I did research. This has been the longest time in between 3D Marios.
Gaming is different. I don't want not old. I don't want you to
Not
go.
three.
and dig up
Okay.
old
So Astrobot
archaeology
took
that's
three.
dusty. Bring
Astrobot
up-
took 3 years to make. All right. Astrobot took 3 years to make. That's a 3D platformer, similar to Mario Galaxy, at least. You know, add the openness of
Astrobot,
Odyssey. Give it 4
Astrobot took
years,
3.
maybe even 5 years, not 8 years.
But the thing that we love about Nintendo, at least I think we all can agree we love this about Nintendo, is that their games are a different level than most other people's. They take that extra polish and they polish the polish to make sure it shines brighter than anybody else. Whether you like it or not, the game, that's your own opinion. But what you can't deny is Nintendo polishes their games like nobody else.
Yeah, no, I agree.
In this new space, in this new gaming world landscape we live in, it costs more money, and it takes longer times to develop games. And you can't compare it to the old ways of doing video games. That was a different time. The way nowadays it takes longer and costs more money. I'm not making excuses for Nintendo why I think they should put it out too. But it makes sense why they haven't yet. It makes sense.
I don't think it does. I mean, it makes sense because they are holding it for the next system on their end. That is the reason.
Like
There
Mario
is
Kart,
no other reason.
you talk about Mario Kart, which has been like 13 freaking years since the last Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But there's a good reason why. It's the sales, baby.
Yes, I understand that, but like
money. Why would they ever put out a different game when like 11 years into its life,
get it. I
it's selling better
understand.
than any other game on the platform?
I understand
Keep the
that.
cash cows rolling, man.
And if anything, like I think we've seen a little bit of what the next Mario Kart is going to be with some of the courses that they introduced with the booster pack.
Oh God, I hope they're better than the booster pack courses.
What I'm saying though is like
there were a lot of hit or miss stuff there.
yeah, but like there were a lot of things that were new to the booster course pass that weren't in the original Mario Kart 8 game.
I just think 13 years or whatever it is, it's over 10 years at least. That's too long, and it's because of their dumb policy of one entry per system.
But by your own definition, there were zero Mario Kart games released this.
That's true. There are 0 original Mario Kart games on the Nintendo Switch.
So maybe that policy is bull crap. maybe that policy doesn't exist. They broke their own policy already.
I'm sure people. I think a lot of people are just going to stop listening to this show after this one. They're going to be like, this guy's annoying.
I know where they can go.
Well, Geeb, where can people find you?
They could find me every week, 8 p.m. Eastern, streaming on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, streaming on youtube.com/DripGeeb. You can search Drip and Jeeb anywhere. We're the Drip and Jeeb podcast. We're Nintendo stuff. And we call these guys out. Well, I say these guys. I'm sorry, Cheesy. We call Johnny out when necessary, when it needs to be done. Just like it needed to be done, and now he's going to eat the chip. Also, I stream on Twitch, where sometimes I harass Johnny on Twitch, dunking on him in basketball.
Yeah. Well, who won?
And what other games have we played? I don't remember. Only remember basketball.
Four Swords.
Yeah, we played Four Swords. That was a lot of fun. Twitch as well.
Speaking of Zelda.
Yeah, Twitch, UncleGeeb everywhere, Drip and G podcast everywhere. Thanks.
And Johnny, where can people find you?
I'm Johnny Bo everywhere: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the Nintendo Powercast, where all my takes are correct, and I'm not changing.
And you can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Nintendo Powercast, CheezyC64, CheezyC64. Jeeb, what are your closing thoughts on the Zelda episode?
Get a hold of yourself, Johnny. Get a hold of yourself.
I'm going to cry myself to sleep because there's no 3D Mario coming out tomorrow.
Bye.